Most people don't lose to life. They lose to their own mind. The battle isn't out there in the world. It's happening inside you, in the thoughts that whisper doubts, in the fears that make you hesitate, in the chaos that keeps you running in circles. But the question is, who's in control? You or the storm inside your head? Because whether you realize it or not, every single day you are making a choice to take charge of your mind or to let it control you. You've been told that peace is something you find out there, in success, in relationships, in validation from others. But that's the biggest illusion of all. The more you chase it, the further it slips away. You've felt this, haven't you? That endless search for something that always seems just out of reach. It's because you've been looking in the wrong place. Peace was never outside of you. It has always been within. Right now, your mind is running wild. Thoughts jumping from past regrets to future worries, distractions pulling you in every direction, emotions rising and falling like waves in a storm. But what if you could silence that storm? What if you could take all that energy, all that chaos, and turn it into clarity, strength, and power? Imagine that for a second. Imagine a version of you who doesn't get lost in overthinking, who isn't paralyzed by fear, who moves through life with absolute certainty. That version of you exists. And the key to unlocking it? Discipline. Discipline isn't about punishment. It isn't about forcing yourself into discomfort. It's about mastering your mind so that it no longer controls you. The difference between those who live in chaos and those who find peace isn't luck. It's training. Training your mind to be still, to be focused, to be unwavering no matter what storms come your way. Because here's the truth. Your mind can either be your greatest weapon or your worst enemy. And if you don't learn to control it, someone else will. The mind is like a restless monkey, jumping from one thought to the next, constantly seeking stimulation, creating problems that don't exist, whispering doubts that aren't real. Have you ever tried sitting in complete silence, doing nothing but breathing? If you have, you know how quickly your mind rebels. It starts screaming for distraction, for movement, for something to grab onto. Why? Because it's not trained to be still. It's addicted to chaos. But just because the mind is loud doesn't mean it's telling the truth. Right now, you believe every thought that enters your head, every fear, every doubt, every impulse. But what if you didn't? What if you saw your thoughts for what they truly are, just noise? What if you could quiet that noise, control it, shape it into something powerful? That's the first step to mastering your mind. The ability to step back and recognize that you are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. And the moment you understand that, you take your power back. Imagine standing by a river, the water rushing wildly, muddy and turbulent. If you try to see your reflection in it, all you'll find is distortion. But if you let the water settle, suddenly everything becomes clear. This is your mind. Right now, it's running unchecked, clouded with distraction and doubt. But the moment you learn to still it, the moment you take control, clarity emerges. The river doesn't change. You do. If you truly want to master your mind, start with a simple discipline. 5 minutes of breath-focused meditation every day. Close your eyes. Inhale deeply. Feel the breath fill your lungs. Exhale slowly. Let the tension leave your body. And when the mind jumps, as it inevitably will, bring it back to the breath, again and again, until the mind begins to obey, until the noise fades, until you are in control. At first, it will be hard. Your mind will resist. It will fight. But discipline is not about what's easy. It's about what's necessary. The more you train your mind to be present, the less power distractions and emotions will have over you. The things that once triggered you will lose their grip. The fears that once paralyzed you will dissolve, And in their place, you will find something you've been searching for all along: peace. Think about it. When was the last time you sat in silence without distractions? If you can't remember, then maybe it's time to start. Maybe it's time to stop running, stop seeking, and start mastering your own mind. Because once you do, you don't just change your thoughts, you change your life. You chase certainty. You cling to the idea that things will stay the same, that people won't leave, that success will last forever. But that's not how life works. Life moves, it shifts, it changes, it reshapes everything in its path. And every time you try to resist it, you suffer. Imagine building a sandcastle. You shape each tower, each wall, each detail with care. It stands beautifully in the sunlight, a masterpiece of your own making. But then the tide rises. The waves creep closer. You panic, trying to shield it, trying to hold on to something that was never meant to last. But no matter how hard you try, the ocean always wins. This is life. The more you try to control it, the more you suffer. You hold on to people, to ideas, to expectations, hoping that if you grip them tight enough, they won't slip away. But nothing is permanent. Everything is fleeting. And when you accept that, something incredible happens. You stop fearing loss. The root of suffering is attachment. You attach yourself to things, to people, to an idea of how life should be. And when reality doesn't match that picture, you feel pain. But what if instead of clinging, you learned to embrace impermanence? What if instead of resisting, you learned to let go? Think about the things you fear losing most: your job, your youth, a loved one. Now ask yourself, is that fear making you suffer? Because suffering isn't caused by change. It's caused by your resistance to change. But peace comes when you stop grasping and start appreciating. Like the sandcastle, life is meant to be built, admired, and then let go. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you stop striving. It means you stop fearing. It means you stop trying to hold on to something that was never meant to stay. It means you live fully, love deeply, and appreciate every moment without the fear of losing it. True freedom comes when you let go. Let go of the illusion that anything is permanent. Let go of the need to control. Let go of the fear that keeps you trapped. And when you do, you will realize that you never needed to hold on in the first place, because what is meant for you will stay, and what is meant to leave was never truly yours. So ask yourself, what are you clinging to? What are you afraid to lose? Because the answer to that question might just be the thing that's been holding you back all along. You believe that if you hold on tight enough, if you control every detail, you can stop things from falling apart. But that's just an illusion. Control is a lie we tell ourselves to feel safe. The harder you grip, the more life slips through your fingers like sand. The truth is, nothing stays the same. Not people, not circumstances, not even you. And that's not a bad thing. It's freedom. Think about it. The person you were 5 years ago is gone. The things that once mattered so much now feel distant. The people you thought would always be there have changed, or maybe they've disappeared entirely. But if you look closely, you'll see something powerful. Every change, every ending, every shift in your life has led you to this moment. Every loss made space for something new. Every closed door forced you to find a better one. The pain you thought would break you actually built you into someone stronger. You suffer because you resist this truth. You want to freeze time, to keep things exactly as they are, to stop people from leaving, to make success last forever. But that's not how life works. And the more you fight against reality, the more you suffer. Imagine trying to hold on to a river, gripping the water in your hands, refusing to let it flow. What happens? The harder you hold on, the more it slips away. But if you open your hands, If you let the water run through your fingers, you realize something. You never had control to begin with. And that's okay. This isn't about giving up. It's about waking up. Waking up to the truth that life isn't something you can control. It's something you experience. Waking up to the fact that peace isn't found in holding on. It's found in letting go. Because the moment you stop grasping, the moment you stop resisting, you find something you've been searching for all along: freedom. You've been told that strength is about power, about control, about pushing harder. But real strength is the ability to let go, the ability to trust the process, the ability to face change without fear. When you stop clinging to the past, to expectations, to the illusion of certainty, you finally become unshakable. Because nothing can take away your peace when your peace isn't attached to anything external. Look at the most successful, the most peaceful people in the world. What do they all have in common? They've mastered the art of surrender. They don't waste energy fighting the inevitable. They don't fear endings. They don't cling to things that were never meant to stay. And because of that, they move through life effortlessly. They adapt. They grow. They let go of what no longer serves them and open themselves to something greater. You can do the same. But it starts with a choice. A choice to stop holding on so tightly. A choice to trust that whatever is meant for you will stay, and whatever leaves was never yours to begin with. A choice to stop living in fear of change and start embracing it as the force that will set you free. Think about what you're afraid to let go of. A relationship, a job, an old version of yourself. Now ask yourself, what's holding on really doing for you? Is it bringing you peace, or is it keeping you trapped? The moment you answer that question honestly is the moment you take your power back. And once you do that, you'll see something incredible. You'll realize that you were never really afraid of change. You were afraid of what would happen if you stopped resisting it. But here's the truth. When you stop resisting, life becomes easier. The weight you've been carrying disappears. The fear fades. And in its place, there's something you haven't felt in a long time: peace. Most people think suffering comes from pain, but pain is just a part of life. It's temporary, like a passing storm. Suffering, though? Suffering is what happens when you refuse to let go. It's the weight of your own resistance, the refusal to accept what is. And that's why some people carry their pain for years, while others move on and grow stronger. Because suffering isn't about what happens to you. It's about how tightly you hold on to what's already gone. But the moment you realize this, everything changes. You stop fearing loss because you understand that nothing real is ever lost. You stop chasing things that were never meant for you. You stop running from change and start welcoming it as the force that shapes you into who you were always meant to be. Your ego will try to convince you otherwise. It will tell you that letting go means weakness, that change is dangerous, that you have to control everything or you'll lose yourself. But that's the biggest lie of all. The truth is, you're not losing yourself. You're finding yourself. The real you, the one who exists beyond fear, beyond attachment, beyond the illusions your mind has created. Imagine what your life could look like if you weren't afraid of change. If you embraced every new chapter with open arms instead of resisting it. If you saw every ending as a new beginning instead of a loss. Imagine how much lighter you'd feel if you weren't carrying the weight of the past. That version of you exists, and the only thing standing between you and that life is the choice to let go. So, what are you still holding on to? What's keeping you stuck? Whatever it is, it's time to release it. Not because it doesn't matter, but because you do. Because your peace, your growth, your future, none of it can begin until you make space for it. And space only comes when you finally decide to let go. The world won't stop moving. Time won't slow down. Change will keep happening, whether you accept it or not. But you have a choice. You can keep fighting it, keep suffering, keep living in fear. Or you can surrender, you can trust, you can step into the flow of life and finally experience the peace that has been waiting for you all along. This is your moment. The moment where you stop resisting and start living. The moment where you take back control, not by holding on, but by letting go. The moment where you finally understand that peace was never something you had to find. It was something you had to create, and now it's yours. You've spent so much time searching for something, peace, success, fulfillment, always thinking that it's somewhere out there, just beyond your reach. You chase it in achievements, in relationships, in the approval of others. But no matter how much you accomplish, no matter how many people validate you, it never seems to be enough. That's because the thing you're looking for isn't outside of you. It never was. It has always been within you, waiting for you to realize that you don't have to search for it. You just have to stop running from yourself. The truth is, you don't need more. You don't need to do more, be more, prove more. You just need to be. But that's the hardest thing for most people to do. To sit in silence, to face themselves, to exist without distraction. Because in that silence, everything surfaces. The doubts, the fears, the insecurities you've been avoiding. And instead of confronting them, you reach for noise, for something, anything, to fill the space. But what if, instead of running, you stayed? What if, instead of escaping, you listened? Imagine a lake. When the wind is strong, the water is chaotic, disturbed. If you try to see your reflection, all you'll find is distortion. But when the wind settles, when the surface is still, the water becomes a perfect mirror. This is your mind. Right now it's restless, filled with distractions and endless thoughts. But if you allow it to be still, you'll finally see yourself clearly, not the version shaped by fear or expectation, but the real you. And that clarity, that's where true power begins. Your mind is not your enemy, but it is a wild force. If you don't learn to control it, it will control you. It will fill your head with doubts, convince you that you're not enough, make you believe that happiness is always somewhere in the future. But the future isn't real. The only thing that exists is this moment, right now. And in this moment, you have a choice. You can keep living on autopilot, letting your mind run wild, chasing things that will never bring you peace. Or you can take back control. How? By mastering the art of presence. Most people live trapped between the past and the future, stuck in regrets over what's gone or anxiety over what's ahead. But the past is unchangeable, and the future is unknown. The only thing you have power over is now. And when you truly understand that, when you ground yourself in this moment, the weight of everything else disappears. The fear, the stress, the endless overthinking, it all fades away. Because none of it exists here. Try this. Close your eyes. Take a slow breath in. Feel the air enter your lungs. Hold it for a moment, then exhale, letting go of everything unnecessary. Do it again and again, until all that exists is this breath, this moment, this space. That's it. That's peace. Not something you find in the future, not something you have to earn, just something you allow yourself to experience. But peace isn't something you achieve once and keep forever. It's something you practice, something you choose. Every single day, you are either feeding chaos or feeding clarity. You are either training your mind to be still or allowing it to control you. And that discipline, that daily practice, that's what separates those who are truly free from those who are trapped in their own mind. Most people don't even realize they're prisoners. They live reacting to every thought, every emotion, every external force, never questioning whether they have a choice. but you do. You don't have to believe every thought that enters your mind. You don't have to let emotions dictate your actions. You don't have to be at the mercy of circumstances. The moment you realize that, you step into a different kind of power, the kind that no one can take from you. Think about the last time something triggered you. Maybe someone said something that upset you. Maybe something didn't go the way you expected. What was your reaction? Did you let it consume you? Did you let it control your emotions, your mood, your actions? That's what most people do. They let their minds pull them in every direction, never realizing that they have the ability to step back, to observe, to choose a different response. The strongest people in the world aren't the ones who never feel emotion. They're the ones who aren't ruled by it. They experience anger but don't let it dictate their actions. They feel fear but don't let it stop them. They face stress but don't let it control their minds. Because they understand that emotions are like passing clouds. They come, they go, but they are not you. So ask yourself, how often do you let temporary emotions control you? How often do you let a fleeting thought determine your entire day? Imagine what your life would look like if you could master that. If instead of reacting to every little thing, you could simply observe. If instead of getting lost in every emotion, you could let them pass like waves, touching you but never pulling you under. That's the kind of power that no amount of money, no amount of success, no amount of external validation can give you. That's the kind of power that comes from within. But this isn't something that happens overnight. It takes practice. Every single day you have to choose to be mindful, to be present, to train your mind instead of letting it control you. That's why discipline is everything, because without it, you'll always be at the mercy of whatever thoughts, emotions, and distractions come your way. Think about it like this. If you had a wild horse, completely untamed, would you let it run wherever it wanted? Number. You would train it, slowly, patiently, with consistent effort. Your mind is the same. Right now it's wild, running in every direction. But if you train it, if you discipline it, it will become your greatest tool instead of your greatest enemy. Start small. Every morning before you reach for your phone, before you let the world dictate your mood, take 5 minutes to just sit in silence. Breathe. Observe your thoughts. Let them pass without attaching to them. Do this every day, and you will notice something incredible. The noise will start to fade. The thoughts that once controlled you will lose their grip. The emotions that used to overwhelm you will become just that, emotions. Not instructions, not commands, just passing feelings. And once you reach that point, nothing can shake you. Not stress, not fear, not other people's opinions. Because you are no longer reacting to life. You are creating it. You are no longer a prisoner of your mind. You are the master of it. And that changes everything. So ask yourself right now, who's in control? You or the endless noise inside your head? Because the moment you decide to take your power back, the moment you commit to training your mind instead of letting it control you, you step into a completely different reality. One where you are unshakable, one where you are truly free. Most people go through life never realizing that they are trapped. Not by physical walls, not by circumstances, but by their own mind. They wake up every day reacting to stress, to distractions, to fear, never questioning if they have a choice. But the truth is, you do. You have always had a choice. The problem is, you've been conditioned to believe that you don't. You've been taught that your emotions, your thoughts, your circumstances control you, but they don't. You do. You can either be the master of your mind or its prisoner. And right now, whether you realize it or not, you are making that choice. Every time you let your emotions dictate your actions, Every time you let fear stop you from moving forward, every time you drown yourself in distractions to avoid facing reality, you are choosing to stay trapped. But you don't have to. You never did. The moment you wake up to this truth is the moment everything changes. Imagine standing at the edge of a massive mountain. The peak is high, the climb is steep, and all you can think about is how impossible it seems. This is how most people view self-mastery. They see the work, the discipline, the struggle, and they tell themselves it's too hard. So they stay where they are, comfortable, stagnant, waiting for an easier way. But there is no easier way. There is only the choice to start climbing, step by step, no matter how slow, no matter how difficult. Because here's the truth. The climb is what makes you stronger. The struggle is what shapes you. Every step you take in mastering your mind is a step away from weakness, from self-doubt, from the endless cycle of fear and procrastination that keeps you stuck. But most people never even take the first step. They wait. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect mindset, the perfect motivation. And because that moment never comes, they never move. They stay at the bottom of the mountain, looking up, wondering why their life never changes. But the ones who do take that first step, they begin to see the truth. They realize that fear is just an illusion, that struggle is temporary, that discipline isn't punishment, it's liberation. Every day they push forward, even when they don't feel like it, even when it's hard, because they understand something most people never will. Freedom is earned. It is built through consistent effort. It is claimed by those who refuse to be controlled by anything outside of themselves. And that includes pain. You've been told to avoid pain, to escape discomfort, to find the easiest path. But that's not how you grow. Pain is not your enemy. It's your teacher. Every challenge, every hardship, every failure is a lesson, a test, an opportunity to become stronger. But most people run from it. They numb it, distract themselves from it, pretend it's not there. And in doing so, they miss the most important truth of all. Pain only lasts as long as you resist it. Think about it. The hardest moments of your life, the ones that shook you to your core, did they destroy you? Or did they shape you? Did they make you weaker? Or did they force you to grow in ways you never would have otherwise? The answer is clear. Every moment of struggle, every ounce of suffering, every painful lesson, it was never meant to break you. It was meant to build you. But only if you let it. Only if you stop resisting and start embracing it for what it really is. Imagine a blacksmith forging a sword. The metal is heated, hammered, bent, reshaped again and again. The process is brutal, but in the end, what emerges is something unbreakable. This is what pain does to you, if you let it. If you stop running from it and start using it. If you stop seeing it as an enemy and start seeing it as the fire that will shape you into something greater. But here's the part most people miss. Strength isn't just about enduring pain, it's about transforming it. About taking everything that has ever hurt you, everything that has ever made you doubt yourself, and turning it into fuel, into wisdom, into something that elevates you instead of holding you down. Because the strongest people aren't the ones who avoid struggle, they're the ones who use it. They take every scar, every loss, every moment of suffering, and they turn it into power. And you can do the same. But you have to make the choice. You have to decide right now that you will no longer be a victim of your circumstances, that you will no longer let pain define you, that you will no longer let fear dictate your actions. Because the life you want, the freedom you seek, the peace you crave, it's on the other side of discipline, on the other side of mastery, on the other side of the limits you have placed on yourself. Look at the thoughts you allow into your mind every day. The self-doubt, the overthinking, the excuses. How much of it is actually real? and how much of it is just fear masquerading as truth? What if, just for one day, you refused to believe the lies your mind tells you? What if, instead of thinking, you acted? Instead of hesitating, you moved? Instead of waiting, you started? Imagine how different your life could be. Because here's the secret. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is action. Not more planning, not more waiting, not more hoping that things will change on their own. Just action. Imperfect, messy, difficult action. The willingness to step forward even when you're scared. The courage to keep going even when you fail. The discipline to show up every single day, no matter what. Most people never do this. They spend their entire lives trapped in their own mind, convinced that their fears are real, that their limits are permanent, that they are stuck. But they're not. The door has been open this whole time. All they have to do is walk through it. So ask yourself, are you going to keep waiting, keep hesitating, keep believing the same old story about why you can't, why you're not ready, why it's not the right time? Or are you going to take control? Are you going to silence the noise, step into your power, and finally become the person you were always meant to be? Because the truth is, no one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you discipline. No one is going to do the work for you. This is your battle and yours alone. And the only way to win is to step up and fight for it, to master your mind, to take control of your thoughts, to refuse to be ruled by anything other than your own strength, your own discipline, your own unwavering determination. The world is full of people who will spend their entire lives asleep, never realizing the power they have inside them. But you don't have to be one of them. You can wake up, you can break free. You can take your life into your own hands and create something extraordinary. But it won't happen by accident. It won't happen by waiting. It will happen the moment you decide that you are done letting anything, fear, pain, doubt, stand in your way. This is your time, your moment, the point where everything changes. Not because someone else saved you, not because the circumstances magically shifted, but because you finally chose to take control, to master your mind, to step fully into your power and never look back. You wake up every day with a choice, to remain the person you were yesterday or to step into the version of yourself you were always meant to become. Most people never make that choice consciously. They let their habits, their fears, their emotions dictate their lives, moving through the same cycles day after day, never realizing that they are the architects of their own reality. But you are starting to see the truth. You are starting to understand that every thought you entertain, every action you take, every belief you hold is shaping the life you are living. Look at where you are right now. Every situation in your life, every challenge, every success, every failure, it's all a reflection of the choices you've made. And if that's true, then that means something powerful. You can change it. You can rewrite your story. You can step out of the patterns that have kept you trapped. You can break free from the limitations you once believed were permanent. But you have to be willing to take responsibility. You have to be willing to stop blaming the world, stop blaming your past, stop blaming circumstances. Because as long as you hold on to excuses, you are giving away your power. Think about the person you want to become. What do they look like? How do they move through the world? What kind of mindset do they have? That version of you is not some distant dream. It's already inside you, waiting for you to step into it. But that won't happen by accident. It won't happen by waiting for the perfect moment. It will happen when you start living as if you are already that person. Most people make the mistake of thinking they need motivation to take action. But motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes. And if you rely on it, you will stay stuck, waiting for a feeling that may never come. Discipline is what separates those who succeed from those who don't. the ability to act despite how you feel, the ability to push forward even when it's uncomfortable, the ability to show up every single day, no matter what. Because consistency is what changes your life. Not one big action, not a sudden breakthrough, but the small, disciplined steps you take every single day. Think about where you were a year ago. Have you grown? Have you evolved? Or have you been repeating the same patterns, making the same excuses, avoiding the same discomforts? If you don't like the answer, then it's time to do something about it, because time will pass either way. A year from now, you will either look back and see progress, or you will see another year wasted. And the only difference between those two realities is what you choose to do today. It's easy to get caught in the trap of overthinking, to tell yourself you need to plan more, prepare more, wait until everything is perfect before you take action. But perfection is a lie. You will never feel completely ready. The people who change their lives aren't the ones who waited until they had it all figured out. They're the ones who started before they felt ready. They're the ones who failed, adjusted, and kept moving forward. They're the ones who understood that action creates clarity, not the other way around. So ask yourself, what have you been putting off? What have you been waiting for? What would happen if, instead of hesitating, you just took the first step? If, instead of listening to the excuses, you simply did the thing you know you need to do? Imagine how much further you'd be if you started a month ago, a year ago. Now realize that in a year from today, you'll be asking yourself the same question. The only difference will be whether you took action now or continued to wait. Your mind will try to convince you that you can't, that it's too late, that you're not capable, that you don't have what it takes. But that's not the truth. That's just fear speaking. And fear only has power if you listen to it. The moment you stop entertaining those thoughts, the moment you start acting in spite of them, you take your power back. Think about the greatest challenges you've faced in your life. The moments when you thought you wouldn't make it, when everything felt impossible. And yet, here you are. You survived. You overcame. And if you've done it before, you can do it again. The strength you need is already inside you. The courage you seek is already within you. You don't need anyone to give it to you. You just need to decide to use it. You are capable of more than you realize. You have untapped potential waiting to be unleashed. But you will never discover it if you keep waiting for the perfect conditions. If you keep hesitating, if you keep telling yourself that you'll start tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes. All you have is now. So make a decision right now. Decide that you are done making excuses. Decide that you will take control of your mind, your actions, your life. Decide that you will no longer settle for anything less than what you are truly capable of. And then prove it. Not with words, not with promises, but with action. Because in the end, that's the only thing that matters. Not what you say you're going to do, not what you hope will happen, but what you actually do. The life you want is on the other side of action. The person you want to become is waiting for you to step up. So do it. Now you've been waiting for a sign, something to push you forward, to tell you that now is the time to act. But the truth is, there is no sign. There never was. The only thing that has ever been standing between you and the life you want is your own hesitation. Every time you've told yourself, I'll start tomorrow, I'll wait until I feel ready, I need more time, those were just lies. Lies your mind created to keep you in the illusion of comfort. But comfort is not your friend. Comfort is the prison that keeps you small. Think about all the moments in your life when you felt stuck, the times when you knew you were capable of more, but you let fear, doubt, and laziness hold you back. How much further would you be if in those moments you had just moved, just taken one step forward? What if, instead of waiting, you had acted? The uncomfortable truth is this: no one is coming to save you. No one is going to give you permission. No one is going to force you to rise. It has to be you. It has always been you. The mind is powerful, but it is also deceptive. It will create every reason for you to stay the same. It will tell you that change is hard, that it's not the right time, that you're not ready. But the reality is, you will never feel ready. No one does. The people who change their lives aren't the ones who waited for confidence. They're the ones who moved despite their fear, because action creates confidence, not the other way around. Your excuses feel real, they feel justified, but if you strip them down, they are nothing more than fear dressed as logic. The idea that you need more time, more knowledge, more preparation, those are just ways your mind convinces you to delay what must be done. But time is running out. Every day you hesitate, every day you stay the same, is a day wasted. Think about where you want to be in a year,